Jimmy, sometimes we go places, we capture so much.
Yes.
Right? Like
Yes,
there's
we do.
only long form is only long form to a degree, and then it gets into where you should split it up.
I agree.
Right?
Yep.
So this is one of those events for us, the Utility Safety Partners 40th Anniversary and Safety Conference.
Well, you did that well.
Well,
You did it well.
You spend here all week, you learn it pretty quick. We were able to capture so much from so many folks, so many key folks and people that have been a part of this organization for so long.
Decades.
So, in an effort to put out more, right? We're going to split a little bit of that up. So here's some of the fantastic content we captured from all kinds of folks.
Yeah.
You know, people from all over, too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very,
all over the world.
I mean, really, we came all the way here and hung out with Lindsay Sander from
Austin and Gull Lake. Gull Lake, Minnesota, and Austin, Texas.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
So stick around. We're going to bring some of those folks on live from Banff, Canada, man. Get your parka out.
Let's do it. Let's get it in our long johns.
Hey, we'll be back. But I just realized, and you said it when you walked up, it's coffee with Jim and James and James.
Right.
Okay.
Which is a rare occurrence when there's three Jims in a word. You go by James or Jim?
I go by James.
Oh, so
I don't
does he.
trust Jims. I don't know what it is. You know what I mean? Like, I think we can all synergize on that.
My mom raised me as James, and so for whatever reason, I'm James.
My mother, judges allegedly, and maybe prosecutors allegedly use James.
I don't know where you were going with that.
Okay.
I only know if I hear Jimmy, I'm in trouble.
Well,
Right.
people call me Jimmy.
There's
in the
only
industry.
one person that can call me Jimmy, and that's my wife.
Okay.
And there's everybody in the industry. A lot of people call me Jimmy. So that's enough about this, though.
James.
How did you guys meet, though? Give me that.
We just
aspect.
did
Well,
right before you.
I've followed you guys on LinkedIn a little bit and seen some of your, listened to some of the podcasts.
Okay.
But I haven't met either of you until today.
Okay, so okay.
Yeah,
And even when I say met, I said hello and shook his hand. We haven't really spoken at all.
Yeah, we're all learning together.
Okay.
Who we do know, and James, before we get too far down the road, do us a favor, introduce yourself to the people back home. Who you're with?
My name is James Wingate. I'm the Executive Director at Underground Service Alert of Northern California and Nevada, commonly known as USA North 811. We're the 811 contact center that covers the northern two-thirds of California geographically and the entire state of Nevada. So it's about 20 million people, and which is the fourth largest population served for a one-call center, following Texas. Let's see. Texas, Florida, Southern California, and us.
Okay.
We're
Don't
number
worry,
4.
we always forget about
Yeah.
Florida.
That's my home state.
Oh, okay. And then geographically, we have the fourth or third largest service territory following Alaska and Texas, and then it's us.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So we got a massive responsibility. As far as me personally, I'm from Utah, born and raised in Salt Lake City. I went to college at the University of Utah, where I did geography. I'm kind of a nerd about maps, and you'll hear that as we get going. And
we like
and
that.
people who know me people who know me in the industry are like, "Oh, don't get that guy going," because
Oh, that's
Talking
good.
to
So
your
tell
girl.
us more about maps.
Yeah. What do
well,
you think about
you know
maps?
what? Let's wait a second. I'll get there.
Okay.
I worked for the Utah 811 Center for 17 years before I came to California a little less than 7 years ago.
Wow.
So it's been a bit of a culture shock as far as coming from Salt Lake City to the San Francisco Bay Area, if you can read between the lines on that. But it's
What part of the
been-
Bay Area do you live in? I used to work out there.
Okay, so our call center is in Concord,
Okay.
and then I live in Brentwood, which is the farthest eastern suburb. The farther away from San Francisco you get, the more affordable it gets, at least relatively. So I live on the last suburb before you hit Central Valley rural. So
Okay.
by design, anyway. Yeah, so I worked for the Utah Center for 17 years before I came here. During that time, I did go back to school again and got a master's degree at BYU, Brigham Young University, in public administration. Thought I wanted to be a city manager for a while, but and I served on a city council in my small city that I lived in, and the planning commission before that, and got a taste of that. And I do have a need that wants to fill the public service role, and sometimes protecting underground utilities doesn't fill that entirely. So sometimes I dabble extracurricularly, I guess you might say, in that.
And you said dabble, his fingers went like this.
Yes, dabble, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it's been great. You know, I feel very blessed. I have a great job, great team. You've had some of my team members on your show, Ryan White. I'm not sure if you've had Colin Miotti on.
I don't know, but maybe in our archive somewhere. Where would we have seen?
He's at CGA and GESC and all those events. So.
Both of those
Well, I mean, I don't know how many people you want from each center. But
I think we met at at CGA in Irvine or Anaheim.
Anaheim.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
A couple
Okay.
years, I think so. Yeah.
Right. And we did a booth down there that year, and we're bringing a big wheel to the CGA conference this year. It's kind of like Wheel of Fortune wheel, but turned vertically, and you spin it around for prizes and that kind of thing. So that'll be a kind of a fun
It'll be
thing.
like we're back in Vegas.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm down with that. So
Yeah.
you're out here in Banff for what reason?
Yeah, what are you doing
Great.
here?
It's an excellent question. Why am I in Canada? Well,
Did you
you know,
get lost somewhere? Because we did.
I wish I had time and travel funds to go to every One Call Center's anniversary milestones as far as their 40th, 45th, 50th.
Sure.
But I don't. But this one is special because, they've combined 4 provinces to the business rules aligned, which is a monumental task to get multiple independent provinces or states in the U.S. to do that. So I wanted to be supportive of that because now the geographic area they're covering is about the equivalent of half of the United States. It's enormous to do from Manitoba west. It's just unbelievable. But also they use the same software we do, which is provided by Pelican Corp. And we're kind of in the process of forming a user group, and I just wanted to show some support and solidarity for that. So that's the main reason why I'm here.
What a great testament to this industry.
It really is a great testament. I just wanted to bring something to the attention too. We were talking with Mel, the CEO from Australia.
Yeah.
And they did something too. Was it 2020, 2019, something like that, where they combined all 6
Yes.
into one too.
Into a national one. Yeah, I went to her presentation. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
She's great.
She is sharp as a tack.
She is.
Great things are going to be happening in
That's
Australia.
amazing. So have you ever been to Banff?
No, I've actually been to Vancouver once, and then I went to Calgary once to visit Utility Safety Partners back when they were Alberta One Call a few years ago when we were getting ready to do the software change to see Mike's system in action, Mike and Cher. And so that's my only other times to Canada. So this is my first time to Banff, and it is stunningly, stunningly beautiful. And I'm kicking myself because, I brought my conference clothes. I didn't bring hiking boots or cold weather gear, which I should have thought to do because,
I got you.
wow,
You borrow my parka.
I got to park it. I got to park it. But yeah.
No, it is stunning. Have you been to Yosemite? I know we're getting off track.
Yes, I have been.
So I was telling James, Yosemite and this, very different, definitely. But again, some of the same.
So the concept of massive, you're in a valley and then huge walls around you.
Yeah,
to
that's
me was
similar.
thinking,
Same with Zion. If you've been to Zion in Utah,
Exactly, or Grand Canyon.
Just
the size and magnitude your
Right.
brain can't comprehend.
Right.
Very cool. Well, we're trying to motivate folks back home that maybe haven't ever been a part of this event, or in particular, or USP. What would you say to them that might motivate them to come out? What have you learned
To
or
come to
picked up
Canada?
on?
Well,
to come to this event or get involved with USP.
it's a great question. So I think in the United States, we sometimes are victims of our own excellence, and it leads us to be arrogant and think that we know how to do everything better than every other country in the world. And I think that is a foolish thought for us to have. And so I think we need to keep an eye on what's happening in other parts of the world. Australia being a fantastic example, but also Canada. They're doing a lot of good things, and they don't even have legislation.
Yeah.
So what does that say about what you can do through the power of cooperation without having to have the threat of the big stick? So now that being said, I'm about to go to a session here in a little bit about legislation because they do recognize a need. And I was talking to a gentleman earlier today who is he works for a city. I won't name the city, but he works for a small city here in Alberta. And he creates tickets for his crews to excavate on the water system. He receives tickets and locates. He is the only locator. And he also is supervising these crews that dig. And the city has almost 100,000 people. It's not like this is a really small town.
I was going to say, is this like 200 people down on the side of the mountain?
Right.
Or
And
what?
I was just shocked that he only has one person. I said,
does he
so
keep
you
up?
report to? I said, you report to the public works director? He said, yes. He said, I usually get about 70 tickets a day. I said, there's no way you can
70?
70. And he said he can, on a good day, he can only get in the field to 20 of them. So he has to manually clear 50 tickets or send a map or contact them and say, hey, you know what, I can't be there. So, right. And so he's having to do the screening that, you guys have had Jemmy on here many times, and, he'll talk about, we got to get out of the mentality of every ticket is equal.
Yeah.
And this is in practice. When you only have one person to handle 70 tickets in a day, you're going to have to say, okay, that homeowner doing sprinklers, I have the city water line, it's down 4 feet. I'm going to say, hey, sorry, I can't be out there. But at least he does respond to every single ticket. So the excavator knows he's not coming. And that if they really have something come up, here's my cell phone and things like that. But anyway, I'm kind of going on a tangent here, but I think it's important for us to learn what other countries are doing. And it's hard from a resources perspective. How do you justify travel funds to go all over the world or whatever? I can't do that. But, I'm from California. We're the most populous state. I feel a stewardship to the nation instead of just having my focus on only Northern California and Nevada. I feel like I owe it to the nation as a larger stakeholder with 20 million people in the third largest area to be involved on a national level and a little bit international if it can benefit us. So that's kind of my thinking for why I'm here.
James, appreciate everything you do.
You're welcome.
That's a big
You guys want me just for that, huh? All right. I'll talk future another day.
Oh, well, that's a good point. Let's talk a little
We could
bit
do another.
You sure?
Yeah, I mean, we
You
can
know
do some
what?
other time. I'll
We're
be at
gonna see you
GESC
at-
and CGA, so you
I
can
was
pull
gonna
me
say, we're
aside
gonna
somewhere
be
else.
at CGA. So let's talk future.
right.
Let's CGA in the future.
Well, here, let me just give you a
Tease it.
Let's do a teaser.
Okay, if you look at the graph of ticket volume, it's going up, up, up.
Sure.
Meanwhile, we have a $1 trillion federal infrastructure bill that's now starting to roll out. We've got, in fact, just today, the White House released a press release about how much of it is going to water projects, and I forget the number, but it's in the billions. Never mind all the telecom stuff, which I'm sure you guys have talked about already, but now we've determined as a society that it's a right for everyone to have high-speed internet, so now we're deploying that in mass quantity. And so, but meanwhile, we still have roughly a third of damages happening from no ticket across the nation, right? So what happens when, as we preach, call before you dig, when those people finally do? Meanwhile, the locators can't keep up with the volume today. So what are we going to do when the avalanche of volume comes? Well, in my opinion, the answer is not to just hire more locators. They're having a hard time getting people in the trades. And no offense to the locators, and I mean this in all sincerity, but unfortunately, there are a lot of locators they don't get a lot of recognition. It's a somewhat thankless job as far as if you market properly, no points. You're expected to market properly. But if you don't, catastrophic consequences. And the concept of the contract locators is a good concept, except that now we're to the point where, you've got one guy with 70 tickets in a day, and it's just not realistic from a safety perspective. So my tease is that we've got to think about technology in terms of sharing maps and baby steps. We don't have to move to the Australian model tomorrow, but what about we share with certain contractors that are vetted by DPI or some third-party neutral accredited association to say, hey, Jim's construction is legit, so you can get this. And I mean, because I have contractors who say, if you let me self-locate, I will assume the liability of locating, because that risk to me is lower. You know, the burden of proof is on the excavator already. They cut a line. They did the actual cutting, so the burden of proof is on them to prove why it wasn't their fault that they did the cut, right?
Yeah.
So some of the big excavators that I talked to say, look, I'm already having to prove it, so how about I'll take on that liability if you give me your maps immediately when I create the ticket, which we do through technology, and I can start digging immediately instead of having to wait for late tickets. So you have to get everyone to participate. So that's the challenge. But I really think that's the future, and I think we'll
it's
get
very
there.
cool, and I think that's something that really streamlined that. So again, they would be trained on the locating process, or they would have people trained on that process.
Well, a lot of big excavators have in-house locators that come and follow up and double-check the marks that locators put down.
So they're double checking anyways.
Well, not all contractors do that, but some do.
Some do.
Some
Okay.
who realize that, okay, I'm about to mobilize a crew with a lot of expensive equipment, and we cannot have downtime, so it's worth it to them to have another locator, their own locator, come and follow up and double check those marks. So it's being done a lot already. Now you have to have agreements because, as you know, if you want to locate properly, that means you have to access the pertinences, and they don't normally have permission to unhook, get into a pedestal or get into a manhole, and now you got to vent the manhole. There's all kinds of safety risks, and so the lawyers will have to get involved to make that work. But I do think it's a win-win where utility operator gives their map, and now that's one less ticket for them to worry about. They can concentrate on the other 69 tickets, but the one excavator is going to do it himself, and it's a win-win that way. So I do think that's the future, and that was a little more than a tease, but I can get into those baby steps. Well, how are you going to share those? Well, you got to trust your maps first. Well, how are we going to get to trust the maps? And not that part I'll save for later, because that one I can go on a while. Yeah.
Because what did we just mention? Maps.
It's a hot topic.
Hot topic.
James, till next
That
time.
was good.
All right.
Till next
So we're
time.
going to get together at CGA, correct?
Sure. Well, I'll be at GESC too, so whichever one you guys want.
Ashley and I will be there.
I'll be at Florida Natural Gas during that week.
Okay.
So
Well, we could, if you want to do, so we can have all three Jameses again. We could do CGA. It's fine. I'll be there too.
We'll do all
Whatever
of,
works.
all of the
All right.
above. Hey, we'll be back.
This is a good. I was James and I were talking a couple weeks though about some of the people that we met on LinkedIn through LinkedIn, and now get to see them in person. That's it. No matter what, as soon as you see somebody in person, then going forward, that relationship has changed.
Completely changes.
Yeah,
Completely changes.
Allegedly.
It's awesome. Allegedly.
And
We'll
this,
see how it changes now that we've met us in person. Might be a disappointment.
That's right. Walked.
our followers went down by one.
Oh, Tony's out.
Peace out.
So guys,
Yes.
we're here in Banff,
Yes, sir.
in Canada,
Yes,
and I'm from British Columbia, which is the next province west of here.
I've been to Vancouver. I love. Yep.
Okay.
A lot of admiration.
And so I'm from the Okanagan Valley, and there's the Okanagan Lake there. And in the Okanagan, we have Ogopogo, which is British Columbia's version of the Loch Ness Monster.
oh, really? I did not. Okay.
So I saw you guys talking about cleaning your travel bags out.
Awesome.
So I brought you a little Ogopogo.
This guy. See, you come all the way to Canada, and you think you're not going to know anybody, and they show up and they bring you presents.
That is absolute. Do I have to declare this when I go back home?
No, it's not worth enough money for you to have to declare it. I don't
Okay.
think. So you're good.
I was going to have a custom shakedown at 4 a.m. tomorrow. in Calgary.
It wouldn't be my first time, allegedly. I'll just say
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Allegedly.
Okay.
Well, thank you, sir.
Yeah,
For
thank
those
you,
that
Tony.
don't know you, do us a favor, introduce yourself and who you're with.
So I'm with. My name is Tony Milliken. I'm with a company called Project Resources Group. We do a lot of design work for cable and telecom. We also are highly focused, and the reason we're at these types of conferences is on damage recovery. So my three favorite guys, Bobby Backhoe.
Oh.
You guys are too.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. But you have Bobby Backhoe, Eric Excavator, and Larry Lamborghini are three damagers in plant.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So those are our guys.
Yeah.
You know, Helen homeowner too, but we shouldn't pick on her too much.
No, let's take
Right.
it easy on Helen.
Take it easy on Helen. So, you know, those are the pieces and the why we're part of this conversation. And what we do is we're part of the recovery piece.
Okay.
Okay, so when, you know, Larry Lamborghini runs over a telephone pole, an investigator will show up, have that conversation, do the investigation, pull locate reports. Larry wouldn't have a locate report, but locate reports, police reports, fill out all the paperwork, get all the damage information together, because that's half the problem, right? Is that,
Right.
you know, technician shows up, he just wants to fix stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
When I go back to my tools days, you just want to fix stuff.
Yeah.
Right? You get 9 other calls on your passenger seat.
Yeah. Let's
You
get
gotta-
this
you-
one done.
Yeah.
Check it off. Next.
Yeah, you know, your kids got a volleyball game or whatever it is that you're trying to piece together. You know, you want to have that move forward and getting your day done, right? So by us coming up as an investigator, taking that off the technician's plate,
Yeah.
that's where the value is, right?
I don't know that I knew that, but obviously it occurs, right? I mean, that segment, that's part of what our mission is as a show, is kind of from front to back, painting in all the gaps that we can. So selfishly, I've only been in natural gas as our world, right? But underground utility industry, period, for 8 years, right?
Yeah.
And so it was a lot to try to figure out. And so what I used to do was come to shows like this a million years ago, right? We didn't have a podcast or anything. And I would go from booth to booth
Yeah.
going, what do you guys do?
He would. He would.
What do y'all do? And in my mind, I was painting that in, right? And so to hear this, obviously it happens, right? And obviously there's a model around it.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I've ever identified it. And so I'm smarter today because of you, sir.
Well, thank you. I'm smarter
And
than
our
you
audience
guys,
as
right?
well.
I wouldn't know.
And he brings prizes.
Well, and then I'm going to I just saw Cliff. It threw me a second. But I'm going to extend that, too. I've been in the industry just under 25 years, and I still find that every event, every time I talk to people, I pick up, and if I say at least one thing, I'm not giving enough credence to it. I am continually learning. And I think that's a great part of our industry. And again, if we can do what we're doing today, meet friends on LinkedIn, get together, have some more collaboration, and share that story. Where, as I always say, we help one person do one thing better, more productive, safer.
And that was you helping me today.
Yeah,
awesome.
there you go.
Absolutely.
We are here in Banff. Awesome event. Beautiful place.
Yeah.
Have you
Yeah.
been here before?
I was at, in fact, my first conference was in Banff, and I won the draw at the end of that conference. And I went down to Phoenix because of the draw I won. And it was from Pelican, who I'm sure we've had some conversations with.
They were just on. Yeah.
Right? And so I won the trip, went down to Phoenix, and met the business development director from Project Resources Group.
Oh, wow.
And years later, he calls me up, you know, after COVID, and says, "Hey, what are you doing now?" I said, "Well, I don't work for the utility anymore." He goes, "I know."
That's why
Yeah,
I'm calling.
that's what I'm calling you.
Yeah.
So that's how. So you never know
Pretty awesome.
what a conversation you may have 10 years down the road
Yeah.
could turn around and do for you.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool that way.
Wow. Very cool.
Yeah. We're trying to paint in that value back home for the folks that have never been here, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful place, no doubt. Right at the foot of the Rockies here. But there's a lot of work that goes on here. How important is this event to those maybe that don't know?
Yeah. Well, I think the Alberta team, USP specifically, they do a great job. You know,
They really do.
I'm a bigger part of the British Columbia team,
Sure.
but we don't have near the support from the industry and the financial piece to be able to pull something like this off. Not that we wouldn't want
Okay.
to.
Yeah. We
But
were
we
just
can't.
in the meeting. There was a lot going on at
Yeah.
USP.
Yeah.
mean,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
a bunch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in all different ways. I mean, they're doing great. The numbers look great. They're trending right.
Yeah.
Everything it seems like they're doing is great.
Yeah. No, they're well organized. They're a well-oiled machine, and they've been around for a long time. I mean, 40 years.
That helps, right?
For them to have been, you know, in the game.
James
So
wasn't
have I.
even James wasn't even born then.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Well, and I mean, I started in 1985 in damage prevention, but still,
That's incredible.
don't have as much experience as what Alberta has from all of that piece, right?
I
So
want to ask you. You're saying that so you've been in there 39 years in damage prevention now.
that's good math because I wouldn't have come up with
Well, I
that.
only
Well,
know
because we knew at 84 was the
Don't
40.
tell him my
Oh,
Oh, okay.
Gosh, man.
he's like a
But-
calculator.
Yeah.
There you go, yeah.
But I'd love to hear why damage prevention is so important
Yeah.
to you.
Okay, so I'm trying to piece this together. So
It's okay.
apologies to your team, but damage prevention is so important because you don't know the effect of what happens. So when I started in cable TV back in 19, if you turned a neighborhood off, it didn't matter,
Yeah.
right? You could literally say nobody ever died because their cable TV was off. You can't say that anymore,
No, you can't.
right? Grandma falls, can't push your fall button.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
No phone, no 911.
Yeah.
If you have teenagers, if their internet's off,
Oh,
you're
gosh.
killing them.
That's a whole other story.
Yeah, that's where the real danger is. That's the danger.
That's like a criminal.
Shout out to Liam, who
Yeah.
knows that all too
It's
well.
like a Criminal Minds
Awesome.
episode, if you know what I'm saying.
I don't see my children a lot until the internet goes out.
Yeah.
Then they all come out of the
Out of the bedrooms.
What's the problem, Dad?
Yeah.
No, so I intentionally disconnect the internet so I can see them.
Yeah. Exactly. Good call.
That's a good point. Well,
Yeah.
brother, so great to
Yeah,
shake your
great
hand.
to shake
Thanks,
your hand and
guys.
see
Thank you so much
seriously.
for
Yeah,
being
it's
a
awesome.
champion of the show and
Yeah.
reaching out to us. I don't know how long this has been in the making, but it seems like we talked a while back and Kev continued to.
That's
so
awesome.
Yeah.
That's
It's always
absolutely
great. And thank you for
Oh, wait.
Ogo Pogo.
Oh,
Ogo
Ogo Pogo.
learn something new every day. Hey, we'll
That's
be back.
cool. James,
Where were
we were talking about
Not
our
again.
pre-planning for the BAMP Utility Safety Partners 40th Anniversary and Safety Conference, and our friend Mike reached out and asked a very simple question of you and I. Very simple question. Were we up for skiing and snowboarding?
And I think my reply was, I haven't snowboarded in 24 years.
I was checking my health insurance because once you see the mountains here,
Could you
those are
imagine
hills.
Coleman telling Coleman that I tore my MCL and that I couldn't make the rest of the tour? Like, I don't even know what to say. Obviously, we said no. So far, he's still working on us, though.
Yeah.
Anytime anyone comes to town, if they're making a trip out of this, I can't resist. I have to invite them
That's
out.
awesome, though.
I mean, it's just good. You can't get enough of that crisp mountain air out here, right?
No doubt.
So,
it was super
well,
nice.
Yeah, Michael, for those that don't know, you do us a favor and introduce yourself to the people back home.
sure. My name is Michael Mayer. I'm the president of 3D Line Locating. We operate out of Alberta here, also British Columbia and Saskatchewan, primarily on the western side of Canada here. We locate underground pipelines, we map them, we manage that underground infrastructure data, and we just give our clients solutions that they need. They tell us what they need and we give it to them. So,
And I understand, if I'm correct, that part of your technology not only does everything you said, but also if they don't or can't, they prefer not to use pigs, you can do the same thing from the outside without entering the pipe. Is that a correct statement?
somewhat, yeah. We've got some tools that we use, a screening process, and that's what we call it. It is a screening process. By all means, what it is, it's a quick assessment to assess for stresses in pipeline. So if there's movement or a flood or things start moving on hillsides, any uneven terrain is a key area. But in general, if there's stress, corrosion, cracking, or dents or dings or some previous mechanical damage that they know about, they can just call us. We deploy out there, go do the job in and out, and get them a stress report so they can make that informed decision right away.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So we are live here in Banff.
Yes, we are.
We came up just for you to do this interview, first one. Beautiful venue, beautiful hotel here at the
Castle.
Fairmont Castle.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to this event before, the Utility Safety Partners?
With Utility Safety Partners, we've been using utility safety partner since they were since they were
Alberta
Alberta One
811.
Call. Like 30 years we've been. So every time we lodge an inquiry to do our work for our clients, it's our first call too, right? It's a lot of information, and the people that are engaged in that process, when we need information, how else are we going to get it, right? It's just that service to this province, I think, has been invaluable to the success of the province, and the growth and the economic value of it is just, I don't know if it was really perceived to be that 30 or 40 years ago, but man, the value of that service is critical. If we didn't have it, man, I don't think this province would be anywhere where it is without it. So lots of key stakeholders have made it a critical piece of what's going on up here. And sometimes we do things a little differently in Alberta, but I mean, it's been working, and
Allegedly.
everyone's looking to improve.
Allegedly. They might do things different here. No, that's great. We're trying to motivate some folks back home that maybe haven't been out to this event in particular. What would you say to them about whether they're going to come out or not next time?
If you're involved in the damage prevention industry, anywhere in North America, events like this are key critical. I mean, we're going to meet people from all over North America here.
And Australia.
Even Australia, the Dow before
Even
you dig.
Texas,
Florida.
Yeah, absolutely. I was in. This was 12 or 13 years ago. I was in Australia. I had my business. I was working with them too.
Really?
I seen how they were doing it years ago as well, and it was working. So when you're collaborating with countries that are looking forward, I mean, man, that's where the magic is. Yeah. Sure.
Well, man, appreciate the invite.
Beautiful.
Thank you guys.
Who
for being
knows?
here.
Mike.
The
Thank you for
week is
coming out.
young, brother. The week is young.
Oh, we
Hey,
might be on
for
the
sure.
slopes. We
You
might
never
be.
know. There's so much to do here, and it's snowy now. So you guys came. It's beautiful.
It really is. Hey, we'll be back.
We'll be right back.
And I got a couple of pictures to show you before we get started.
Yeah, that was.
Yep.
We're going to get into that. But as we do, why don't you please first introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah.
Do it.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Cliff Meidel. I'm a damage prevention ambassador and a spokesperson for Georgia 811. I'm very happy to be here today at the Utility Safety Partners Conference that we have here, their 40th anniversary of being able to spread that awareness of damage prevention. So we're all here for a
Amen.
good common cause, right?
We are. And that's the beautiful thing about coming to this is because everybody does have that common cause, which is wonderful. And everybody has a few uniquenesses and things that they like to hone in on. But this cross collaboration that we're seeing everywhere, we just talked to Cookie from Australia, which is he's really concerned with overhead power lines.
Right.
A lot of our world
Who
is.
you're co-presenting with tomorrow, right?
Yeah, we're going to do a co-presentation, Cookie and I tomorrow, yeah.
Cookie's like a internet star.
Yeah, he is. He's very well known.
By the way, I'm going by Cupcake the whole rest of the show.
All right, Cupcake.
We're manifesting it.
I like it. I have to tell you, Cliff, we're just coming on to the recording out of the podcast portion, but you shared with us your story from 1986 when you were a tradesperson and had a very serious incident. That's as far as I'll leave it up to you to please tell that story because it blew me away. It really did.
Well, it's a shocking story, right? No pun intended.
No pun intended, yep.
Yeah, so going back to 1986, I was a young man working on a construction site, kind of doing what all young guys do.
Yeah.
Eager to work and climb up the food chain when it comes to construction, and I was a sponge. And I wanted to learn a lot, and I was getting a lot from my mentors out there, and I was in the process of going through an apprenticeship program in plumbing, and one day I was just doing a normal job out on the job site, and I was operating a jackhammer, and I ended up jackhammering into this concrete area, and I hit 3 underground power cables with 4,160 volts. So I've got one heck of an electrical shock. So you can imagine with electricity, we always say we can't see it, but I can guarantee you we can sure as heck feel it.
I bet.
And I remember this immediate jolt, and then it was out. Lights were out, completely gone. I didn't know what was happening. What ended up happening was I was burned about 15% of my body. And as I slid back down into the ditch for the second time, my knees came in contact with a jackhammer, and that's where I suffered most of the damage. I had about a third of the knee compartment that was completely disintegrated on both my left and right leg, on my knee joints. And also, electricity, I always talk about burns, right? You could get burned, by fire, by chemicals, by electricity. And I guess sometimes we could get burned in relationships, right? But we don't want to talk about that.
No, we'll leave those
Got the jokes.
But anyway, so I had these significant burns, and then I also had a cardiac arrest. But it was, and that's one of the things that I like to talk about. And as we talked about it before, where's my passion and where does it lie? Coming to a phenomenal damage prevention conference like we have here today. It's, I always like to say, if I could touch one life, if I could inspire one person to be able to go out there and do the best that they can do and be able to be accountable and come home to their loved ones, I've done my job. And that's kind of how I equate all of this and how this all works out for me. So that's what my favorite thing is boots on the ground, right? Talking to the guys that are in the field, but also at the same time trying to really promote the importance of damage prevention, right? We always have to make sure that perfect practice makes perfect. We always have to go out there and work on the fundamentals. And that's, one of my primary loves in life is, if you may call it that, is to be able to go out there and inspire others to be the best that they can be. Yeah.
And let me just ask you a quick follow-up to that. After your accident, I know there was a very long time of rehabilitation and getting back to where you are. And it probably took, years, I would imagine. When did you get into this space? Was it right away, or did you find yourself going back into the workforce and then coming?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. A long time. And also, I was never able to go back into the workforce. And I think that's where, on a personal level and, on a human growth level, a lot of us need a place of belonging to go to. And being a part in an apprenticeship program, I was very, disappointed that I was never able to do that. One of the biggest issues was that after I had my accident, we often don't see, we see what happens to the victim in the accident, but we don't see what's underneath the water, like in an iceberg, right? Yeah. And my mom at that time had an enormous amount of weight put in her lap. I was at the risk of losing both of my legs. We were very fortunate that we were able to find this doctor up at UCLA, but ultimately I got into physical therapy. I couldn't walk or do anything like that. I got into canoe paddling, and I fell in love with it. I got into a new culture. It wasn't construction, but it was sport. And I ended up making the Olympic team in 1996, and then again in Sydney, Australia. And then I had the incredible honor of being able to carry the U.S. flag in the opening ceremony at the Sydney Games. So it's a big tape. It's a long time frame.
Yeah.
But all of that kind of comes together. And then how I got back into damage prevention was once I retired for the Olympics, I needed to find a place for myself. Even though I have a full-time career as a vice president for a development company, I needed a place to go. And I think that natural bread and butter progression, I got introduced to the damage prevention industry back in 2012 with Georgia 811, and I love it. I just love being a part of the process.
Passion and purpose, when they collide, that's what you have right there.
No doubt. Well, we are in Banff, beautiful Fairmont here at the Utility Safety Partners event. Why, I know that you're on the agenda, but why is this event important to you?
Well, it's very important to me because anytime I have the opportunity to be able to go out there and promote damage prevention and spread the awareness, like I said, it doesn't matter if there's one person in the room, 100 or 1,000, it just takes one person to be able to make a difference, because we all have families. We want to make sure that our workers not only come to work healthy and safe, but also go back to their loved ones. And that's my mission, and an opportunity like this, I always like to do it. And you can't get away from Banff, right? I mean, such a beautiful place.
Amazing. Well, I appreciate you. And all the work you've done.
Likewise, too. I appreciate you having me here.
You absolutely know what's below and call before you dig.
Exactly.
I can't wait to attend the session.
Look out.
There we go.
Hey, we'll be back.
Thank you.
What I learned last week is you can program these red buttons here with, like, as a producer, I could have like clapping and.
Oh, really?
Oh, there you go.
So be
Stay
lucky.
tuned.
Be
Stay
lucky
careful.
you got on now.
Well, I used to have a little thing during COVID that had like sound machine. It was like battery operated, and that was one of them. Like we'd be doing,
Was it
I'd
a
be like,
little red thing?
yes,
I have it.
Yeah.
The fart noise.
Oh, man.
Oh yeah. There's
We're
like
all children here.
there's like
Yeah.
15 buttons on there.
It's in the one drawer, and every once in a while, when I go into that drawer to look for something, if I find it,
Yeah.
it humors me the rest of the afternoon.
That was
Yeah.
that was
What a callback. I love
that
it.
was an instrument Zoom
Yes. Yeah.
apparatus during COVID time.
Yeah. It's good to laugh with new friends or old friends or all
Absolutely,
friends.
all
right?
friends.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Wiley just walked off stage. I feel like he got mobbed afterwards.
He was
Yeah,
mobbed.
yeah.
In a good way,
Almost
very
ripped my
safe.
coat
way.
off. It was
Yeah.
horrible.
I sat in on quite a bit of it. We snuck out right at the end. But I said when you walked up, speaking my love language with safety culture. Right?
Absolutely, without a doubt.
Definitely something we're passionate about. Do us a favor for those that may not know you. Let everybody know who you are and
Sure.
what
Sure.
what you're doing.
So my name is Wiley Davidson. I'm out of Buffalo, New York, and I'm a motivational safety speaker. I've been in the safety business for about 20 years, and at one point in my career, I just had an opportunity to go out and deliver a message that really made a difference. And so once COVID hit and things kind of went sideways for a while, I realized that that's what I should be doing, So I put together the current message, leaving a safety legacy, and
Yep.
it's just been catching fire. Every conference, every month. I was just chatting with Cliff Meidel, who had presented earlier
He's
this
a
week.
rock star.
Yeah,
and
he is.
He was like, it's such a nice message that it's a refreshing change to what maybe a lot of our audience members are used to. It's a different way of looking at it.
It was funny too.
Yeah,
I'm a comedy guy. You won't know it because I'm not very funny, but just getting people started, especially that early in the morning. You know how it is.
Especially
You do
after
enough
that
of
party
this.
last night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to
Allegedly.
some of our costumes over here.
Yes.
Allegedly.
Yeah. No photos. It never happened.
Yeah. So we're here in Banff. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You said it during your presentation. Look out the window. How blessed are we?
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And I say that all the time. It's almost that old analogy, like you pinch yourself, right? You not only have an opportunity to do this for a living and go out there and make a difference in people's lives, but you get to travel to amazing parts of the country or the continent, and I'm fortunate. This is my second time in the Banff area, but I tell you, I'd come back 100 times because it's just beautiful.
It
So
is.
it's our first time as a show, but also as people, right?
Yeah.
And it was pretty epic.
Very
so
epic.
blessed,
Yeah.
So blessed.
A question for you, James and I were commenting. We're talking this morning about this portion of the industry, this damage prevention group, these folks like yourself, and we were commenting that the amount of people that want to talk and share and get on the microphone has been exemplary compared to some of the other conferences. People are like, oh no, I'm just an engineer, or I just do or this or that. We're here. It seems like a lot of people want to share that message. And you're a great example of that. So I do have two questions for you. Is there a place that people can go see something online of the talk this morning, or another one that's recorded somewhere? Because I think a lot of people gain great benefit from that.
Yeah. Well, to answer that first question, obviously the web. Leavingasafetylegacy.com is your easiest way to find me. Again, Wiley Davidson, you type that in. There aren't too many Wiley Davidsons out there, so I'm sure that'll be another easy way to track me and catch up. And just drop me a line, say hello, and if you want to hear more information or, book an event or whatever, or just chat, If one thing you've noticed, I don't shut up. I'm always talking, so I'll talk to anybody.
100%. Same.
Yeah, you'll talk to us.
Yeah,
We're gonna be
right. If I
great
talk to
friends.
you guys, I'll talk to
anybody.
That's the truth. We are trying to motivate people, and a lot of people back home aren't blessed enough to get to come out. Right? Some people have to work and be out there in the field and still do that type of stuff. Not that we're not working. But,
No, I know what you meant. Yeah.
There's
What a
other
great job
folks
to
out
have.
there.
They don't
right?
have a lot of
But
flexibility
it's our
to
jobs,
share.
and I'll loop you into it as well. It's our jobs to create those echoes, right? I mean,
Yes.
we come here, but there's 361 more days in this year that all of this has to keep going, right?
Right.
What if you could grab one message from your keynote, right? You just came on stage.
Sure.
What would you tell to the folks back home?
Well, there's 2 or 3 really, I would say, pivot point moments in the presentation, but one of the ones I really like the most is work like your kids are watching.
Yes.
There's a lot of truth to that, right? Like you said, you feel it here, because you may not realize it, but somebody is taking cues from you, especially if you've been doing the job for a long time. And if you have that mindset that your child's watching, you're going to work safer. You're going to follow the rules a whole lot easier than you are, well, no one's watching, so I don't care. I can, cut a corner or take a shortcut. And ultimately, when it comes down to it, you may be teaching your own child someday. A lot of people in this industry, their sons and daughters come right up behind them, learning from what they've done. So
right.
Summer shower. Yep, my daughter. Yep, absolutely.
yeah. So if you could work like your kids are watching, that, and like you said, the humor part, don't make me call your mama.
Oh man, I was about to say that was my takeaway.
Yeah.
Because that gave me cold chills just thinking what my mama would say.
But it's
yeah.
interesting how that flipped, right? Because initially it was a joke. Hey, don't make me call your
Yeah.
mama. But then when you make it personal,
Legitimate.
you're like, oh,
I took a
you're
picture
right.
of that slide.
Yeah.
I posted it today.
Yeah.
Because that was my takeaway.
Yeah.
I don't want nobody to call my mama.
Yeah. I always say there's two sides to safety, right? There's the arts and the science. The science is the do this plus this equals you don't get hurt.
Yep.
And that's where a lot of the technical sessions that we go to these events kind of catch up. But I'm more the other side, the arts, the fluffy, cultural, can't really put a finger on it, hit you in the feels kind
hear
of. And I'm finding that folks are really appreciating it, and are walking away with not one takeaway, but multiple takeaways as a result. So if that's what you're shooting to do, you can't ask for a better way to hit the target.
Just a quick thing to build on that. James and I were talking about this recently, that again, with the next generation coming into the industry and us trying to be mentors, and not mentors in a way, for myself, I want to explain to all the next generation all the mistakes that I've made.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you can learn so much on a textbook, A to B, B to C, C to D, but again, a lot of the next generation want to know the gray area, what's in between A to B. What did
What
you
were you
experience?
thinking
Yeah,
when
what did you
that happened,
experience?
right?
What did you think?
Well,
What
there's
did you
a
take away?
great relationship connection there, right? Because you have the veteran employee that's done it, right? They've got the scars to prove it, and they have a lot to share with those young folks coming in.
We do.
Right? We can teach
me.
and show and educate them. But on the other side, the young folks have a lot to offer as
Oh,
well,
my
right?
gosh.
Because they were raised in a culture of safety, weren't they? Right? Bike helmets, knee pads,
Yes.
child-proofing
Helicopter
home.
parents.
That's nothing more than PPE and lockout, tagout, So the important part is that we need to share our experiences and they need to teach us so that we can get to that common ground where we can get home to that table every night and, continue to live that quality of life that we shoot for.
Amen.
Awesome.
Hey, we can all rally around that.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so
I
much.
appreciate you taking the time to let
No.
me talk some more.
Are you kidding? Thank you for
Are you kidding me?
for sharing.
My
Nice,
spirit
thanks.
animal.
This is important.
Hey, we'll be
Spirit
back.
animal.
Well, in case we get
Aren't
a
we
good,
always videoing? I feel like my entire life is just on video now. I feel like the Kardashians of natural gas.
wow, which one are you, Kim or Courtney?
You tell me.
God, boy, that just leaves me with an interesting
And
thought in
that's
my
such
head.
a dated comment now, I think, because
What's the next one? What's more relevant to that? James, you're
from Kardashians to the 80s, rock bash.
last night. That was fun. That brought back a lot of. I like that. It brought back a lot of memories. When you start to hear music and smells. They say, no, your sense of smell will trigger a lot of memories from your past. Like
Oh, yeah, 100%. Well, we were just talking about it at breakfast, right? I was eating some
some what it post.
post toasties. I don't know
Whatever.
what you call them.
Yeah.
Cornflakes.
Yeah.
Just plain cornflakes. Cold milk. Makes me think of my
Childhood.
grandparents' house in Sweetwater, Texas, on the farm. They always had a gallon or a container of real milk.
Fresh milk.
Yeah,
From the cow.
from the cow in there, and it was so cold, and I can picture it perfectly. And I would eat that there and only there because no one else had cornflakes. Like, just who buys plain cornflakes, right?
Well, I think most
Apparently
people.
Canada.
Well, or most people buy them for like some sort of additive for like a.
Hamburger meat.
yeah,
or something,
yeah.
I use them in my meatloaf.
Yeah.
No, but this morning that brought back that memory, and I told Jimmy, but same thing, right?
Yeah.
80s last night.
It was fun. It was fun. Some of the people really went all out. I have to be honest with you. On my prep for this trip, knowing that we landed in Calgary and drove over, my thought process was gear, survival gear, in case the car went in the ditch or whatever.
And mine was rock and roll.
Yeah, well, so mine was
Just kidding.
much different. So last night I was not prepared for anything as far as a costume, but that's okay. I mean, it's we still had a lot of fun. I mean, I lasted pretty long
I
for
was
me.
proud of you. Luckily, they had ice cream.
They did,
like
yes.
a cooler full of ice cream because
Yeah.
that kept Jimmy going. When really he probably should have been in bed. We're
Well-
looking at pictures. I just pulled them out from last night. There was a photo booth in the front.
Yeah.
And one of the funniest moments to me was Whitney and Scott Landis. Well, let me backtrack a little bit
Do it.
further
Do
because
it.
we're standing in a circle of people just networking, right?
Yep.
There's a band on stage, but we're in another area just a little bit off, like where they were doing some other things, a little quieter. And we're standing in a semicircle with a few people.
6 or 7 people.
Yeah. And, these things, sometimes people have their spouse with them, especially at a place like this.
Yeah.
So you don't know the circle you're in.
Yeah.
Everybody has a name tag, but sometimes they spin around,
Yep.
whatever. And so we're standing there, and there's this taller guy, skin tight, zebra pants.
Yes.
The workout pants I used to have in the 80s. He's wearing like a shirt with a tattoo sleeves.
Yep.
Under it,
And a wig.
then
The wig.
and it's very emotional, right? It's like hanging down his bangs and like
It's a
flop of
blonde
hair.
wig.
Blonde wig.
And it looks almost like
Shades on.
David Lee Roth / who's the other guy that they were talking about from Twisted Sister?
Oh, yeah, almost like Warrant. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, whoever that lead singer was.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And so we're in the circle, but that person's not talking. Right?
Yeah.
So Jim and I are talking, and I'm sitting there, and after about 5 minutes, I realize it's Scott Landis.
'Cause he said
Excavation
something, yeah.
Safety, right? And so who will be at the Excavation Safety Conference Global coming up here in a couple of weeks,
Which is really their
probably by the time this airs, it'll be.
yeah,
it'll be there.
they're that's Scott's and Whitney's premier. That's their conference,
Absolutely. So Scott's standing there. I don't even realize it's him, and that makes it funny. But Whitney pops over and like, "Hey, let's go take some pictures," which I have in front of us now. And the funniest moment, though, was we took probably 4 or 5 takes of this picture.
in a photo
And
booth. In a photo booth.
Whitney was dressed to the nines, like 80s, right?
Yep.
If you know Whitney, you know she does anything, she does it all the way. And she kept, all right, ready, guys? She was so worried about all of us being ready and in the picture
Yeah.
that she kept not being ready because it would count down and then snap, right? And so on the second to the last one, she gets in a new spot. And she gets down and ready, go.
And
Takes
us
the
3 are
shot.
in a perfect spot.
All ready. And the logo for this event, because it prints them out in front of them, and if we show video on this one, you'll see it. The logo
Which is superimposed afterwards, so she didn't know it at that
was
time.
right smack dab in the middle of Whitney's face. And you talk about laughing, crying from laughing.
And
So funny.
And again, that was like our 4th or 5th or 6th take, and the wonderful lady that was running the booth just kept printing those pictures. Like the first one, she kept going to and printing.
We
And
go,
we're
no,
like,
no,
no,
more
don't
pictures."
print. And then she just kept printing. So we had 12 pictures over there. We did get a great one though.
memories. Yeah, we did. And
Well,
and
and
we
that,
kept the one with the logo on the face, which is just comedy.
we
But,
got to. Yeah.
Fun event. There was a band all night. Broken Toys played. They were amazing.
They were so
I
fun.
mean, truthfully,
Yeah.
they rocked the house. Yeah, cool. That's
Then we-
something I love about the damage prevention community as a whole is they always have these parties. I'm not a costume guy, Jimmy.
No, I'm not either.
That's
Yeah.
the last thing I want to do. I'll be honest to everyone. I'm letting you know now so you're not disappointed later.
Yeah.
That's not what I do. Ask my wife. I'm not the one that goes, yeah, you know what I want to be for Halloween? It's not me.
No.
But luckily, I had a pink hoodie.
You fit right
And it
in.
worked. And people said, that's a great costume. And I was like, I literally wore this yesterday. Like, not as a costume.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
Like over the top of something
Yeah.
else. So it worked out. But really cool group. It's fun to see people have fun. And damage prevention tends to schedule it. And I think it says something about the community. We work hard and we play hard.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And, getting back to Energy World, that one of our core values or one of our sayings is it
No reason. Yeah,
no reason it can't be fun.
sure.
And we work very hard. I was just actually talking to somebody from Fortis, BC, just a few minutes ago, who actually follows us, on
Really?
LinkedIn. And in talking with them, they're like, "You guys have been traveling all over. You must be exhausted." And they travel a lot too at Fortis, BC.
Oh, for sure.
They travel a lot.
They-
They're like, "This, you guys."
Well,
are,
just getting around Canada is a lot.
yeah, definitely,
I mean,
yeah.
it's no different than us traveling across. So you going to California as a haul.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Same thing across all those. Very, very great group here.
But
I don't.
it's fun seeing though in that respect. So how many people we've met in person up here that follow us on LinkedIn, let's just say, and we finally got to meet some of these folks in person, shake their hands. Tony, for instance.
Tony was so great. So Tony, if you don't know him, Tony, how do you say his last name?
Milliken.
Milliken?
Yeah.
Milliken?
Milliken. Yeah.
Okay. We're probably screwing that up.
Yeah, we
Sorry,
probably
Tony, we
are.
love
Sorry,
you.
Tony.
Tony shows up, who we've only met on LinkedIn,
Yep.
and he was so excited that we were going to be here, and he brought us Ogopogos.
Oh yes, yes,
which
yes,
is
yes, yes, yes.
essentially the Canadian Loch Ness Monster.
I had no
is what
idea.
I
Did you
learned.
know?
I looked it up some more last night because I wanted to get the name right, how they spelled it. So Ogopogo. And so there's a lake. I think it's Lake Ogopogo or something. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
I'm probably screwing that up too, Tony. Maybe you should tell the story. But he brought us little trinkets, little keychains with the Ogopogo on there, which is really cool. It's silly. It probably cost him $3 a piece.
Yeah.
But someone that thought about us welcomed us to Canada
Yeah.
in a way with something that meant something to him. And he was such a good dude.
Oh,
Like we saw him all week and he sat down, chat with us. He was on the show.
positive,
oh my
energetic,
The kind of people
optimistic.
our industry is full of. Debbie Shelley stopped by. Look at that photobombing in the back. So many great folks here. She was a rock star last night. Like literally, I thought she was on stage at one.
Oh, her costume was to the tens.
We sat down with her yesterday, and she said, "I said, I don't know if you remember. I said, hey, so this event's been going on for 40 years. We're celebrating 40 years. How long have you been here and involved?" And she said, 40 years.
yeah,
Which there's a lot of people like that we met. And that says a lot about our organization too. Tenure.
yeah, and we talked about it yesterday that really the people that are truly in the safety, damage prevention, all-encompassing world, for the most part, it's not an absolute, but for the most part, these people have a passion and a purpose for it.
Yeah.
So
They're put here for a reason.
they are absolutely, and they
We
stay
all are.
here. And when you again on our discussions with folks, we ask about the longevity. Some of the people that say, "Oh, I'm new to it. I've only been in this role for 7 years, but I love it. I'm new, 7 years."
That's
And-
me. What are you talking about? I'm the new guy.
Well, but again, when your passion and your purpose collide, it's absolutely magical. And that's one thing I do want to comment too about. Like, we were at DCA a couple weeks ago, or I shouldn't even say a couple weeks. It was literally the week
10
before
days
last.
ago.
Yeah, 10 days. Now we're at
Now
this
2
one.
weeks ago.
In this conference, do we know how many folks are here? 250 maybe?
Maybe. I thought it was more like 150, 200.
Okay.
It's a small group.
and but,
Huge impact.
But yes, huge impact because the amount of people, that are here, but the amount of people that want to get on and share their stories and talk about their purpose into the damage prevention world is incredible. And so, again, sometimes we've been to events that might have 700 people, but only 100 people want
Oh,
to
yeah.
talk.
I mean, we were
maybe.
really recording, truthfully, we recorded some extra on the first day that we didn't expect to get in fast.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But we recorded all day yesterday, and I mean, we're going to leave here. We're wrapping up this morning. We may grab a couple more, but we're going to leave here with 20 to 25 episodes with a group of 150 people.
Incredible.
You do that math of what percent that is.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big percentage to have on the show.
Yeah.
Again, I think our damage prevention industry is more wired for awareness and engagement. Like it's a big part of what we
yes,
do.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So at home, we've always had better support. That sounds bad. Let me start over. We've always had better engagement at damage prevention events. We saw it early on when we went CGA, Texas 811, Louisiana 811.
Yep.
All of those. But it's because people are wired for it. It's part of damage prevention is awareness, and we've got to get the word out. They're trainers, they're speakers, they're advocates, they're specialists.
But you just hit it, James. You just hit it. This whole industry is ready to give a presentation because what they do, they want to share with others, not just here with us, but the other 364 days out of the year. They want to go and travel to a muni or to a utility or to a pipeline or to a right of way and share the story. And so they're very used to telling stories, and that's it's a very vocal, more so vocal. I actually learned that I was consciously incompetent. I knew that I didn't know how vocal they were, and it really continues to validate that.
Yeah, and then when we go out, and this isn't a jab at natural gas, but a lot of the times when we go out to natural gas events that are, specific natural gas only, we're talking to a lot of the damage prevention people in natural gas that stop by. I mean, and others, but what I mean is the more vocal folks are usually your pipeline safety people, your damage prevention people, your,
MG is a great example from Oklahoma.
Sure.
I mean, he outspoken
all the time.
Steve Allen,
Shane Thacker. How about
Jim Francis?
Yeah, I mean,
Jeff Weiss.
All those folks have a place in our industry, but a big part of what they do is awareness. Safety culture, a big part of that is awareness. PSMS, still, all of that has to be there. So, we like damage prevention. We really do.
We really do.
I do. I feel like I'm home here. I never feel, not that I do anywhere else, but everyone is great. So thankful to be involved here.
Mike Sullivan.
I was about to say.
Well, look at us. Yin and yang. We're on the same thing.
For once.
What, were we even out of the car yet when Mike was at our car saying hello, welcome to Canada?
And he posted on my. He commented on my post last night. I don't know if you saw it, but such great words of support from him, and he was we thanked him for having us out, and he thanked us for coming out.
Yeah,
he's like, dude, y'all made the haul, not me. That I think that says something. And there's a lot of folks like that came because Mike, like what he's built here, and others, but there are a lot of international people here. Who did we talk to this morning from Minnesota?
Oh, Barb.
Yeah,
Barb from
811.
Go for 811. Yeah, my home state. Or wait, I should
Don't
say
you
one
know?
of. Oh, don't you know? There, yeah, sure. One of my old home states.
Who they're presenting to today, and we name dropped Sam Hall because they're presenting on a mapping project they're doing, and we said, we were on a call with Sam Hall the other day, and if your ears are ringing, Sam, there's someone else that's as passionate as you as Matt.
Oh.
And it sounds like y'all are in touch because they're doing great things over here. And I love the cross-pollination, the collaborative. We talked to James Wingate yesterday from USA North, and hearing him talk about why he comes here and why it's important that he runs the largest, area. Their group runs the largest area of coverage, right? With that California
and Nevada,
right?
Yep.
And so forth. And so looking at the states are Providences up here. Providences up here, and how much ground is covered by formerly Alberta One Call, but now USP. He wanted to share that knowledge, like how that's the only scale that makes sense, right? His mistakes and his learning could be shared with the folks here at USP, and that's why he's here. And that collaboration is amazing.
And a key word you just said there, mistakes. And actually, I was talking to our friend Lori over there this morning, and I said,
"You mean our new best friend?
Our new best friend, Lori.
We're like stepbrothers."
Yeah,
he's like Chris McCabe, man.
Yeah, he is like Chris McCabe.
I don't know what it is.
Has a look and the same type of personality, but he's newer into the outside field. And I said, listen, if you ever want to pick my brain about something, I have years and decades of mistakes. And getting back to what you were just talking about, sharing
Lessons
mistakes,
learned.
People are not afraid to open up here in regards to, and a lot of people are like, I probably could have done it a better way. This is what I did. This is how it resulted. And maybe this way could have been better. And they're sharing that because
sounds like our podcast.
Yeah, it is our podcast.
Oh,
It
goodness
took
gracious.
us 4 seasons
still,
to,
still taking us, right?
4 seasons to get to this level of badness, right?
We got to wrap up here
Yeah.
today, and then we're going to slowly make our way back to Calgary, taking a little bit more of the scenery. It's snowing today. We hope to be, bluebird skies and be able to take some things in. But I don't know, Jimmy. Like, if you're going to be in Banff in the winter, like, this is the experience.
I
love blue skies and I want to see all the mountains, but at the same time,
It's winter.
it's what you expected it to be.
And you took me out. You
Forced them.
me to get out. I was a curmudgeon, but we actually took a little bit of a hike, and it wasn't that big, but we actually saw some beautiful scenery.
Well,
We
when
saw
you're
some-
loaded down with gear, but PPE, I mean, our big old parkas. I
We're
ordered
key.
a parka. I
we're key. Our Energy World Net parkas were
looked like
key.
a rapper last night, like in my parka.
Oh, yeah,
living
yeah,
out
yeah.
late.
Yeah.
This giant parka. That's,
Big hood. Yeah.
Yeah, extra. One size too big, but
Hey,
it is what it is.
they're life saving. It's a life saving measure here.
But it
And-
was a long hike when you add all that, and then the snow and
Yeah.
the temps, right? But how was it?
But epic. We saw a frozen waterfall area, which again, you have to think about this.
In the Bow Falls here at Banff, we just took that hike down from the Fairmont Springs to Bow Falls.
Yeah.
Epic.
Epic, because again, really just the natural beauty, and to see how it freezes 90% of it on the top in the wintertime, but still the water is flowing underneath, and on one side a
Almost
small
boils out of it.
it was like
under
a 10-foot wide small
Boiling
little swath. Yeah, that gives you an idea how enormous the falls are normally.
Yeah.
I'd say 100, 150 feet across, maybe. I don't know. I'm
In the-
just guessing.
In the last month, we've literally recorded the podcast and watched whales, splashing out in the ocean. We've snorkeled. Whether you had a good experience,
Okay,
or
we
not.
still did it. We still snorkeled in Hawaii.
And we sitting here at the foot of the Rockies. I mean, it really gives you perspective.
Yeah.
Right? We've spent a lot of time this week just sitting in the show, and what I mean is just being thankful for the work that we've done. Right?
Absolutely.
The work that put us here, and I think that's important too. Sometimes we get so busy and we're on to the next one, and next week we're at AMP, and next week we're at Global, and next week, those types of things that we don't just sit in the show a little bit and take it in ourselves
I agree.
because we're too busy.
I agree.
But places like this make you pause just enough to say,
And I do feel satisfied that we did take a few minutes to pause,
and we're going to take some more right on the way back, and then it's back at it.
Yeah.
You get a couple of weeks off. How you like the sometimes Ashley component? Now?
I love it. It's absolutely a great
I'm
having
ready.
Ashley being part of the team and willing to step in. She has so much going on in her life too,
Yeah.
but she has absolutely stepped up to the plate and says when applicable and when I can, I would love to. So she and you are going to AMP in New Orleans, which again I've been to many AMP over the years and had a lot of interaction with AMP, and I'm a true understander and believer. I'm so glad that we as a team are going, you and Ashley. And I'm going to have to miss Global Excavation because we're doing some great things in Florida with the Florida Natural Gas Association, FINGA. We have our spring summit, and this year, with the help of Stephen Mayfield from City of Tallahassee, who is now our president this year, we're no longer just doing a committee and board meetings for the spring, but we're adding in a day and a half of educational seminars.
Shout out.
So,
Shout out. That's
again,
good work over there.
These are
Florida.
not sales opportunities, vendor spotlights. These are if you have something that can help somebody be safer, more productive. Those are and we have Brian Dressel coming in on AOCs.
Rockstar.
We have Steve Allen coming
Coming
in.
in.
PSMS. So we have 2 Energy World Net
And
folks.
then we're bringing the show there later in the year, right? Is that correct? We think
We think so.
TBD.
Yeah. No, we should.
some way, shape, or form. we are.
Yeah, Coffee with Jim and James will be represented at the summer expo and symposium, which is the huge one in Cape Coral. I've been going to that for, I'd say, well over a decade.
We need
so-
you a running mate while you're there, yeah?
Yeah, but
Maybe we can. Or is Ashley going to that one?
we're
going to figure that
We're
out.
going to figure it out.
Don't hold us to any of that.
Dale Calhoun.
We got you.
We got you.
We got you. Very busy. You mentioned AMP.
Yep.
Ashley and I will be sitting down with the CEO
Oh,
of AMP.
Fantastic.
Alan Thomas has agreed to sit down with us and talk about it. He's a busy man that week, as you can imagine.
Are you going to talk to our friend Kimberly Joy?
I have. I just reached out to her yesterday and let her know that we will be there. Kimberly Joy is the incoming chair. I guess, will they pass the gavel at this thing? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know if it's this or the next.
Yeah.
But either way, big deal. We'll sit down with her. She was so excited to hear we're going.
She's turned into a great friend of all of ours.
Absolutely, and a champion of the show. Jim Kunkel will be there, so
Oh,
we'll be able to sync up with Kunkel
Kunk.
himself. I was just on his podcast, Digital Revolution, talking about AI, so I'm excited to see him in person. Never met him in person. Talked to our good friends over at Mesa, at AI, American Innovations. I talked to Cole Finney yesterday.
Oh, Cole.
He said, stop by. We're going to have an Airstream
Oh, no
as a
kidding?
booth. He goes, this is our big dog show.
No
And so,
kidding?
We're going to be there interviewing people, I think, just in the Airstream.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're going to go mobile this time at AMP. We're not going to bring the big setup.
Oh, okay.
So Ashley and I are going to be.
That's perfect.
Yeah, we're gonna,
Wonderful.
We don't really have a home base, so we're going to make the whole thing
Perfect.
our home base.
That's wonderful.
Global after that with Scott Landis and his group. We'll see Whitney again.
You're going to spend more time in New Orleans than I have.
Tell you what, we go almost back-to-back weeks.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks in between. I skipped one. We got Oki 811.
do?
I'll be sliding over from that from AMP in Norman.
Yep.
And MG and I are doing the show from there, which will be a new experience.
That's wonderful.
Which I'm super excited about. MG. They have the podcast over there too.
Yeah, they do.
Digging Deep.
Yeah.
And so that'll be fun. And I'm speaking there on Claim Your Seat at the Table.
Wonderful.
And
One of
then
our favorites.
The rest is history. We continue down the great North American road trip, coming to a city near you. We're adding dates every day. It seems like I don't know how we're going to do it.
Listen.
It may be coffee with Jim and James. Sometimes Ashley. Sometimes MG. Sometimes fill in the blank. And
We
you,
might.
right?
We might have to. And it's funny. Aren't my words coming to life? I'm like, James, we have to prepare for the unexpected. Things are going to come out of the woodworks, no matter how much. And they're great opportunities. And
Yep.
some of these, if they scheduler-wise can fit in, that's wonderful that we can
And
service.
Jimmy, not to tease too much,
Oh, please, go ahead.
but we
Do
have
it.
some. We said we wanted to get out in the field this year. We said we wanted to go do some things,
Yep.
and we have some of those scheduled as well with some good friends at some different spots,
Yeah.
operators here and there that we're going to be able to see how they're doing
Oh.
things, get out there, learn a little bit more, and that's that. We
I'll-
hadn't even made it to the halfway point of the year in the schedule at this point. All of this is happening in Q1 and Q2.
Yes.
So,
yeah. Yeah. And the things we're talking about we're literally talking coast to coast.
Yeah,
I'll just
it's
say
going to be
that.
epic.
Yep.
And we are blessed, thankful to be here. Thank you to Mike Sullivan and the crew here at USP, Jay and Carolyn. How great was it to fellowship with them?
Wonderful.
Synergize. We've always been champions of each other, even before we acquired DPA. We were so close. I feel like we were.
Yeah,
Obviously,
definitely.
I was.
Yeah.
And to be able to be here together and to be on their turf. And what I mean is Jay and his dad really have done work here in this space, in what was formerly Alberta One Call and now USP. And so it was neat to be with him in that realization.
Yeah,
He got-
yeah. Teary-eyed. He was
I
misty.
almost got emotional just talking about him getting emotional, but
Yeah.
him knowing that, he's walking in those shoes, and that's a big deal.
Yeah, well, he
It's
said
neat
he
to
said
be with
that
him.
he knows his father is looking down and is very proud of the work he's doing. You okay?
Yeah, I gave him a hug afterwards.
Yeah.
I said, "Man, I feel you right now. That's really cool, man." And so that helps us paint in that why of when somebody back home says, "Why were y'all in Banff? Was
Yeah.
that a great vacation?"
No.
Someone joked about that here recently. Look, we're not lost on it. We're so blessed, but
Yeah.
we're here for a reason. And
Well-
Jay and Carolyn have built a path here with this group that we just basically were blessed to be able to walk down.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah. No, what you've mentioned a vacation. I think I just have to say it, but we get down to the booth 7-ish, okay, every morning, And if we get back up to the room, not even leaving the hotel at all during the day or the conference area or the event center or whatever, if we're at the room by 8 o'clock, that's a good day. You know, it could be 9 o'clock, and you haven't even stepped outside of the area. You haven't, you know.
Yeah, you haven't been. We left the hotel yesterday, you know,
For
to
an hour.
go on the hike for
So it was
basically an hour.
Yeah, and when I looked at it from my window, I'm like, we really hadn't walked. It seemed like we were walking forever. And I'm like, we just walked to the edge of the property, or you know what I'm saying, of the hotel.
Absolutely.
But you know, we
Well,
did take a few minutes though. So
Great show, Jimmy, as always. Lots of
Yeah.
great things happening up here. On to the next one. We've missed our counterpart, Ashley. Shout out to keeping it all together. She's trying to get us all lined up.